In introducing him. Professor Rizvi is currently the Secretary of the Indian History Congress, which is the oldest and the biggest organization of professional historians and history lovers. Professor Rizvi.
Well, friends, first of all, let me thank Sohail Saab, Comrade Rajan, in fact, the Sehmat itself, for having invited me over here to speak on a topic which naturally has my heart into it. Let me start by saying that this entire program is in the memory of Professor Jha. And while introducing Professor Jha, Sohail Saab had pointed out his report to the nation, which came out at the time when the Babri Masjid issue was in the courts. I would just like to remind myself that since that day, when a meeting between Jha Saab, Irfan Habib Saab and others took place at the ICHR in the evening, I was a part of it. And from that day onwards, till the excavations which were taking place at Ayodhya, I kept myself involved in all what was happening. Unfortunate is that today, all that fight with people like Jha Saab, Irfan Saab, R.A. Sharma ji, M. Athar Ali Saab, Suraj Bhan Saab, and a host of others had fought, had come to a knot, because you must have all of you read today's newspaper. I read in Times of India that now not only Taj Mahal, not only Qutub Minar, not only Varanasi or Sambal, now they have come up with evidence of a temple beneath the Ajmer Dargah. So now the entire country is going crazy. And I would say more than the politicians, we keep on cursing the politicians. But I personally feel that let us start cursing our judiciary, at least our lower courts, who are allowing these things to happen.
Why not even Supreme Court?
Yes, of course. It was. They have opened the door. They have opened the door.
And the CJI sought the permission of the God to make.
Well, I refer to all this because it is directly related to the topic of the day. My brief today in this discussion, which is taking place, is to talk about medieval India as far as challenges before secular historiography of Indian history is concerned. I am going to talk about an area which is slowly and gradually being invisibilized. All type of attempts these days, Madam, you spoke about issues in ancient India and how you are going to correct them as far as your students are concerned. My dilemma today is that my subject will not be there, so what am I going to correct? I feel that if we look at the challenges which I face as a teacher or a student of medieval Indian history, the first challenge, which to me, if you pay attention to the topic of the day, the challenges before secular historiography of medieval India, then the first challenge is the word secular itself. The second challenge, which I feel that we should pay attention to, is the very term medieval and how it is perceived. Thirdly, if we are actually historians of medieval India and we forget about even secular history, we just pay attention to history in general, teaching medieval Indian history, then a big challenge is what type of sources are we to consult and how to consult them. You know, I am talking about the primary sources for medieval India being mostly in languages which have now been forgotten. There are hardly any experts who know Persian. And even amongst those who know Persian, perhaps only 1% are those who know how to read Khatt-e-Shikast, that cursive writing in which most of the documents are to be found. Incidentally, very recently somebody wrote to my supervisor, Professor Irfan Habib, and he narrated this incident to me only yesterday. And he said that somebody has written to us that you people at Aligarh should take up a course to revive the reading of cursive Persian writing. Because now, at the moment, apart from Irfan Habib and perhaps a few others who are not recognizable, there is hardly anyone. And our, National Archives and State Archives, Bikaner Archives, you name any archive, thousands of documents which are yet to be studied, yet to be read, they are all there in that very script which now nobody is able to read. But then, my dear friends, because my topic today is challenge to secular writing of history, I will not be going into the details of this particular issue itself. I would only be dealing with what is meant by secular, what is the challenges thrown by the term secular, and the challenges of what means by medieval. Before I go into that, let me also point out, and that has already been pointed out to you before I took up the mic, and that is the challenge of the modern times. The time when all of us, find ourselves capable enough to think to tailor our past. All of us, whether it's our rickshawala or it's a, pan seller, everyone thinks that he's a historian. Some days back, and I am not making it up, one of the shopkeepers was telling me, "Doc साहब आप नहीं समझते हैं, मैं बताता हूँ इतिहास क्या है." And this, dear friends, is a great problem. We were talking about WhatsApp history. At least in WhatsApp history, you write a few sentences, right or wrong. But then this is a challenge where everyone assumes that they are the authorized historians of the past. That is a big challenge as far as we are concerned. Now, a few days back, a week or 2 weeks back, this issue cropped up, centering between popular historians and academic historians. And an assumption which perhaps all the newspapers and magazines reported, and this idea was sold by none other but William Dalrymple, that the academic historians, and mind you, he also specified that what he meant by them was especially the left historians, had failed to reach the masses, and thus by their inability or neglect, they left space for the rightists to fill up the resultant gap. Our friends have forgotten that serious historians like Romila Thapar, R.S. Sharma, Satish Chandra, Bipan Chandra, I'm not naming some of those historians who are sitting here in this room, and they are great names. I'm not naming them, I'm just naming some of the most stalwart of the historians. In fact, all contributed immensely popular textbooks which in the year 2003 had been banished by the first BJP NDA regime. पॉपुलर और क्या कहिएगा, जो बच्चों को, जिसको एक आम जबान में जो कॉम्प्लेक्स थेरीज को एक एक दो दो सेंटेंस पे अगर समअप करके अगर कोई बता रहा है, व्हाट कैन बी मोर पॉपुलर देन दैट? What else was R.S. Sharma doing? What else was Romila Thapar doing? What else was Bipan Chandra doing? I mean, you read tomes and tomes of history books, and you read one paragraph of these textbooks, and you will be able to understand what these new researches were all about. And these textbooks, which were removed by the first NDA government, they, in spite of the fact that they had been removed, they still keep on selling. And the masses are still reading them. I mean, you go to Amazon, उनका शेप बदल गया है, लेकिन वही टेक्स्ट बुक्स आज भी बच्चे, आज भी नौजवान, आज भी जो भी इंटरेस्टेड इतिहास, तारीख, हिस्ट्री में रखता है, वो उन्हीं को पढ़ता है, उन्हीं से समझने की कोशिश करता है. Forget those textbooks. I would name some other books. Irfan Habib's Medieval India, published by NBT. Late Professor Anirudh Ray's The Sultanate of Delhi. There is one teacher, Meena Bhargav, in DU. I don't know whether she is still there or retired. Meena Bhargav. Her, 2 volumes of Exploring Medieval India. Her book, Understanding Mughal India. I would like to remind my dear friend Dalrymple Saab कि ये serious historians के काम है, जो popular level तक पहुंच रहा है. Having said that, let me also stress that the academics the academic points में से जो होते हैं ना, जैसे कोई डिबेट होती है उस पर कोई नुक्ता उठाया जाता है, एकेडमिक्स का वो काम नहीं है. ये नुक्ते उठा के सोशल मीडिया पे लड़ना एक सीरियस हिस्टोरियन का काम नहीं है. However, I will concede that yes, academic historians are not adept to read the social media trends and tailor their writings accordingly.
And they should not.
They should not do it, and they are not doing it. Dalrymple's The Golden Road, How Ancient India Transformed the World, could not have arrived at a more opportune moment.
Which guru?
इस वक्त ऐसे ही हिस्ट्री की ज़रूरत थी, जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली इरफान हबीब और मेरे बगल में बैठे हुए KM श्रीमाली या किसी और ने इन पॉइंट्स को टेकअप नहीं किया. एंड दैट इज़ वाई ही कैन से दैट एकेडमिक हिस्टोरियंस हैव फेल्ड टू गिव रिस्पॉन्स टू द पब्लिक. Of all these challenges, the growing communalism and communal approach to our past is perhaps the greatest challenge, जिससे हम पिछले 10-12 साल से grapple कर रहे हैं, even more. But before we go to that and to explain that, let us start by looking at the word secular. Secular, as perhaps all of you and especially the youngsters sitting here in this room know, now is a bad word today.
Become secular.
It is a secular thing.
Supreme Court accepted now.
Yes. Secularism is a core principle enshrined in our constitution, which ensures coexistence of diverse religions while keeping state impartiality towards all faiths. In India, secularism does not mean what it is meant by this term in the rest of the world. In the rest of the world, it simply is a negation of all religions. It is a word which is antithesis to all religions. In India, it is the acceptance of all faiths. The framers of our constitution borrowed the concept from our own past, which now we are being asked to forget. It is clear to Hindutva that unless we forget our past, the concept of coexistence and acceptance of all and negation of majoritarianism is not possible. अगर उनको अपने हिंदुत्व को फैलाना है तो हमारा वो पास्ट जहाँ वो सेकुलर ट्रेडिशंस जो इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट पे रहे हैं, जब तक उनको वॉश ओवर ना कर दिया जाए, उनको भुला ना दिया जाए, उनका ये हिंदुत्व का फलसफा जो है वो पॉपुलर नहीं बन सकता. एंड दैट इज द मेजर रीजन व्हाई टुडे subjects like medieval India are in challenge. In fact, not only medieval India, as Madam pointed out, that it is also, fields like ancient India. Ancient तो हमारा था, लेकिन उसमें भी आपको एतराज है. I will remind one or two things about ancient India. She has already hinted at that. She took the name of Ashoka. Who does not know about Ashoka? But what generally we forget, most of us, as historians, some of us know, लेकिन हमारे कितने बच्चे हैं जो उसको रटे हुए हैं या जानते हैं, रॉक एडिक्ट 7th जो अशोक का है, in which Ashok says there should not be honor of one's own religion or sect and condemnation of others without any ground.
Rock Edict 12.
Rock Edict 12. ये जो एडिक्ट्स हैं, दे टेल यू कि जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है हमारा, जहाँ सेकुलर का टर्म यूज किया गया है, ये कहाँ से ओरिजिनली इंस्पायर हुआ है. Perhaps one of the reasons why, when in 2014 the new dispensation came, attempts were made कि जो changes syllabus में किए जाएं. One of the first attempt was, and actually I don't know why, वो जो एक कमिटी बनाई गई थी जिसमें चेंज करने के लिए सिलेबस को रखा गया था. Someone gave my name and I asked Irfan Saab, should I go there? Irfan Saab said, you must go there. And I went for 3 days to this meeting, और एक ही अटेम्प्ट वहाँ प्रचारक जी का चल रहा था, किसी सूरत से अशोक और अशोका के धम्मा को उसमें से हटा दिया जाए. अगर आप अशोक को पढ़ाओगे, अशोका के धम्मा को पढ़ाओगे, तब आपको ये कहना बड़ा मुश्किल होगा कि सिर्फ एक ही मज़हब है और कोई मज़हब नहीं. The framers of our constitution, in fact, had borrowed the term from this. One more thing that I would like to point out about the edicts of Ashoka before I go forward is that in all his edicts, मेरे बगल में शिमाली जी बैठे हुए हैं और भी एंशिएंट इंडिया के लोग यहाँ हैं, अगर मैं गलत कह रहा हूँ तो मुझे पॉइंट आउट कर दें. Throughout his edicts, whenever Ashoka uses any term for religion, It is Pashanda, which in Sanskrit is Pakhand. In fact, this term Pasand or Pakhand, Ashoka is using for all established religions. चाहे वो ब्राह्मण हो, ब्राह्मणास या श्रामणास, दोनों के लिए जो एक टर्म इस्तेमाल किया गया है वो पाखंडी. And as against them, Ashoka forwarded his own Dhamma, which was not a religion. It was a way of life, a code of conduct, social ethics, based on 3 or 4 things: non-violence, tolerance, compassion, and respect for all, not for one religion. He preferred a moral conquest of Dhamma over strife. Long after him, another Indian ruler whose empire, like Ashoka's, spanned over a large number of what are today modern number of nations, जो रशियन टेरिटरी से लेके और आपके नीचे तक जाते हैं, उनके ऊपर अशोका की भी हुकूमत थी, उनके ऊपर अकबर की भी हुकूमत थी. इनफैक्ट जो आज अखंड भारत की बात होती है, जो आज एक वेट ड्रीम है हिंदुत्व का, वो एक्चुअली 2 बार हमारे इतिहास में हासिल की जा पाई है, एक अशोक के पीरियड में और एक अकबर के पीरियड में, और दोनों को आज भुलाने की कोशिश की जा रही है. इफ अशोक had talked of a Pakhand free society based on moral ethics Dhamma, Akbar came up with the idea of Sulh-e-Kul, absolute peace or peace with all. Abul Fazl, Akbar's official historian and confidant, articulated this Sulh-e-Kul as Muhabbat-e-Kul, absolute love, or you can say unfiltered love towards all. किसके लिए? For all makhlooq, all creations of God. King was not only a temporal authority but also a representative of God. In fact, Abul Fazl says that he is light emanating from God, Noor ala Noor, light of lights, and thus he should not discriminate between God's creations, the Khalqullah. Incidentally, the same terms, the terms Khalqullah and Noor, were used by Aurangzeb in his Nishan to Rana Raj Singh. Religious distinctions had no meaning, while rituals of faith were nothing but ways of simpletons. Sada law, that is what Akbar said. When, once Akbar was told that Raja Todarmal comes to the court with his, sleeves full of idols, so he should be punished. Akbar said, "Ye sada law hai, simpleton hai. Let him do what he wants." At another occasion, his son Murad wrote a letter to Akbar कि मैं क्या करूं अब्बा जान, मैं ऑर्डर देता हूं और मेरे जो कारिंदे हैं, सिपाही हैं, ऑफिशियल्स हैं, वो भी बात टाल जाते हैं, कहते हैं नमाज पढ़ लें फिर करेंगे. What should I do? They should be, asked to stop praying. Akbar answers the same way as he had answered while Todarmal was being accused. He says, ये simpletons हैं, सादा law हैं. Let them do what they want to do. No difference. It was during Akbar's reign that the cults of both Lord Ram and Lord Krishna became popular. Tulsi slept in Mahajid to write the popular account of his Lord, while the priests of the Sri Chaitanya sect were encouraged and were financed to popularize the legends of Lord Krishna. जो आज जिस अंदाज में हम इन दोनों लेजेंड्स को देखते हैं, लॉर्ड राम और लॉर्ड कृष्णा को, इट इज़ थैंक्स टू द ग्रांट्स एंड इनकरेजमेंट्स विच वर गिवन बाय पीपल लाइक अकबर. आप अगर मिडिवल इंडिया के कोर्सेज से, मैं उस कोर्सेज पे ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा, मैं सिर्फ ये कहूँगा कि इरफान हबीब साहब ने 2-3 जगह ये आर्टिकल्स लिखे हैं. इंडिया टुडे में भी लिखा है, EPW में भी उनका ये आर्टिकल छपा है, कई जगह छपा है. उसमें क्या क्या चेंजेस उन्होंने किया है उसको आप आराम से देख सकते हैं. लेकिन एक चीज़ जो वाज़ेह है, जो एक चैलेंज हम लोगों के लिए है, वो ये है कि अकबर को गायब किया जा रहा है. अकबर का कोई जिक्र नहीं. दारा का जिक्र है. दारा जिन्होंने अकबर की सुलह कुल पर फॉलो किया था, लेकिन दारा का जिक्र करना ज़रूरी था, क्योंकि अगर आप दारा को नहीं जिक्र करेंगे तो फिर आप शिवाजी के बारे में कैसे बताएंगे, औरंगजेब के बारे में कैसे बताएंगे. You know, Dara Shikoh is being eulogized by the present dispensation. उनके नाम पे सेमिनार्स हो रहे हैं, उनके नाम पे. In fact, when I was the chairman at the Department of History, which at that moment of time was also the Center for Advanced Study, I proposed that there should be a Dara Shikoh chair at Aligarh. Not for the purpose जो बाद में हमारी गवर्नमेंट ने बढ़ाया. मेरा पर्पस था कि सुलह कुल की पॉलिसी को स्टडी करने के लिए सिर्फ अकबर को नहीं, दारा का भी उसमें बहुत बड़ा हाथ है. इसलिए दारा शिकोह एक चेयर बनाई जाए जिसके थ्रू उसी सेकुलर कल्चर को स्टडी करने की कोशिश की जाए. व्हेन आई मेड द प्रपोजल, दैट प्रपोजल वाज टेकन अवे, बैक्ड अवे फ्रॉम माय हैंड एंड यूज्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, एंड दे केम अप विद दिस कंसेप्ट ऑफ दारा शिकोह चेयर्स एट अ नंबर ऑफ प्लेसेस. और आज दारा शिकोह पढ़ाया जा रहा है. बड़ा रिवियर्ड है दारा. लेकिन जिसने ओरिजिनल सुलह कुल की पॉलिसी दी थी, मैं ख़त्म कर रहा हूँ सर, उसको आप कोर्स से बाहर कर रहे हैं. दारा's own father शाहजहां, like Akbar, gave grants to Vaishnav temples. And while giving one such grant to a Vaishnav temple, Shahjahan notes, lighting of lamps in temples is ibadat-e-ilahi. मंदिरों में दिया जलाना ये भी इबादत है. So it's not only Dara. You know, the problem is कि अगर आज आप उस मिडिवल इंडिया के कोर्सेस को जो आर शर्मा, रोमिला थापर, इरफान हबीब, एम अतर अली, इन लोगों के बनाए हुए थे, सतीश चंद्रा, उनको अगर आप कंटिन्यू करेंगे तो ये सारी बातें आपको पढ़ानी पड़ेगी. तो बेहतरीन तरीक़ा ये है, नई रिसर्च तो हम कर नहीं सकते हैं. जब सर में दर्द हो तो दवा न कीजिए, सर ही काट दीजिए. तो जो एक चैलेंज है, मैं बहुत सी चीज़ें और लिख के लाया था आपके सामने बयान करने के लिए, लेकिन जाहिर है कि टाइम की लिमिटेशन है. और मेरे ख्याल में जो मैं कहना चाह रहा हूँ उसका मैसेज आप तक पहुँच ही गया होगा कि जो चैलेंजेस आज मिडिवल इंडिया फेस कर रहा है वो एग्जिस्टेंशियल चैलेंजेस है. लेकिन आई स्टिल क्लोज विथ वन सेंटेंस, अ होप, कि शायद इन चैलेंजेस को हम अभी भी बहुत कायदे से मीट कर पाएंगे और अगर हम अपनी बातों को अटल होके कहते जाएं, बताते जाएं बग़ैर किसी डर खौफ के, तो कभी हम अपने इतिहास को ख़त्म नहीं कर सकते। आज जो एक कोशिश चल रही है, मैडम ने कहा था वो माइथोलॉजी, हिस्ट्री की जगह माइथोलॉजी, मुझे कहने दीजिए कि ये बड़ा, शायद आपने इसे बहुत आसानी से कह दिया, ये माइथोलॉजी नहीं है। जो फादर ऑफ हिस्ट्री हैं हेरोडोटस, उनकी भी हिस्ट्री माइथोलॉजी पे बेस्ड थी। ये जो करना चाह रहे हैं ये माइथोलॉजी नहीं ला रहे हैं, ये एक संस्कृत का वर्ड है, मिथ है, मनगढ़ंत बातें जो जी में आए, जिसका कोई प्रमाण ना हो, उसको इतिहास कह के पढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू वेरी मच।